Holding in page 73, Klal Godel is the name of the chapter, Perek Shvi, the 7th chapter. We're starting from the top. The Gemara therefore offers another interpretation of the Bait El Alav. Reisha V'Vedes Kechov in the first section speaks about first section of the Bait that deals with idolatry. V'Seifa B'Shal Mitzvahs, and the latter section deals with the transgressions of other mitzvahs. The Gemara elaborates on the last statement of the Baita, from which Rava derived his proof that the principle of preoccupation can apply even when the person intended the type of act that he in fact carried out. What is the case of acting inadvertently without intent regarding other mitzvahs? The sovu, the shuman v'acholoi, presumably where he thought that the piece of chelav was permitted fat, and he ate it. Whereupon he discovered that he, in fact, had eaten chelav. Shein and b'Shabbos, whereas this is not so in regard to desecration of Shabbos the Potu, meaning that in a parallel case, Shabbos desecrator is exempt. He teaches a law such as the following: the niskaven lachtoch, where someone intended to cut something that was detached from the ground, and he in fact cut something that was attached to the ground. Potu, he is exempt. What is the case of one who acted inadvertently without any intent at all? The sovu reiku, where a person thought that a substance in his mouth was saliva overloy, and he swallowed it. It turned out to have been liquified chelav. Shein b'Shabbos, whereas this is not so in regard to the desecration of Shabbos the Potu, that in a parallel case, a Shabbos desecrator is exempt. Niskaven like Besatolush, where someone intended to lift something that was detached from the ground, but he in fact cut something that was attached. Potu is exempt. However, if he intended to cut something that was detached from the ground, but he in fact caught something that was attached, chayav is liable. The Gemara cites another dispute between Abai and Rava regarding preoccupation. Itman is kaven izrik shtaim v'zorak arba. Someone intended to throw an object a distance of 2 ames, but he in fact threw it 4 ames. Then he becomes liable. Rava amar potu. Rava said it's potu because that wasn't his kavanah. Abai amar chayav because eventually, in actuality, he threw it 4 ames. Rava amar potu. He didn't mean to. That's why Rava said his potul is zrika the arba. He did not mean to throw it 4 ames. Abai Amar Chav Dakam Kavan is zrika b'alma. Your intention was to throw. You chayav. That's the opinion of Abai. Kasov ushus hayochid. If someone thought he was throwing in a private domain, and he found out it was a public domain. Rava Amar potul. Rava Amar Chav. Rava says potu. Rabbi says he's liable. Why? Rava Omar potu. Rava says he's exempt. He did not intend a prohibit throw. Rabbi Omar chayav deho kamikavan zriko b'alma, because he was intending some throw, and therefore, according to Rabbi, is liable. Tzricha. And why do we need both cases? The case of 4 ames and the case of, and the previous case of zrika, of two and end up throwing it 4
and cutting.
No, throwing it 2 ames, and instead of, you found out you ended up, your intention was to throw something 2 ames, instead you threw it 4 ames. In the second case, you thought it was a shus hayochid, and instead it was a shus harabim.
Oh, that's the 2 cases. Okay.
Yeah, similarly the same. What's why do the Gemara mention the 2 cases?
Yeah, but if you throw the ball and it lands in 2 ounces and then it rolls out of the 4 ounce.
So it's not a zrika. We're talking about the actual akira, picking up from one domain, or not in this case. In the first case, not to one domain, but 4 ames.
Right.
And let's say you're in a shus harabim, you pick up a stone and you throw it. And instead of landing, your intention was only 2 ames, but it ended up being 4 ames.
Yeah, right. I understand.
And then if it's rolling, it's not.
Rolling doesn't count.
The touching is the halacha.
Oh, okay. Rolling doesn't count. Good.
So we need, it's necessary to state all three disputes. Also about wanting to cut and pick up.
Okay.
The Iyashmin Kamaisa, for if we were informed about the first dispute, uprooting a plant, he thought it was detached and ended up being attached, and he cut something that was attached. Only in that case, Rava say the person is exempt. He did not intend the prohibited act of cutting that resulted at all. But when he intended to throw an object distance of 2 amas, he threw it 4 amas. Where an object cannot be thrown 4 amas without first traveling 2 amas. And what did Abai would say that maybe Rava would agree with Abai that the person is liable. And if he were informed about the second dispute, only in that case does Rava say that the person is exempt. Because he was not intending to throw of 4 amas. But if he thought that he was in a private domain, and it was found to be a public domain, he intended to throw of 4 amas. I would say that he agrees with Abaye that the person is liable. It is therefore necessary to state all 3 disputes. The primary labors of Shabbos are 40 minus 1, Ravina and Bo. In discussing this, we ask, Minyonu Lamali, why do I need the number? Why does it tell me it's 40 labors missing 1? If someone performed all 39 of them in one lapse of awareness, he is obligated to bring a separate chatos for each and every one he performed. 39, he has to bring a whole flock. It goes well with Abai because he said that in such a case he's going to be liable for everyone, for every violation. Person is miscalculated the extent of his act. Mashkachas lo diod disur Shabbos. Can be found in a case where he knew about the prohibition of the Shabbos. And he knew about the prohibition of the Melochas. But he was mistaken about the extent of his act. Rabbi is potu. Why do you need the number? Because Rabbi would speak about a case that he knew it was Shabbos, but he didn't know the Melochas are prohibited. So how can this person who was unaware of all 39 Melochas be considered to have acted deliberately regarding the Shabbos? This is well if the Tana holds, and of course Rabbi Yechon said that once someone acted inadvertently regarding the Koros penalty, even though he acted deliberately with regard to the prohibition, he's liable to achatos. This ruling of the Mishnah can be found in the case where he knew about the Shabbos law with regard to the prohibition against performing melochos, but he was not aware of the Koros penalty incurred for violations. But if he holds like Rabbi Shimon Lakish, the Omar Rabbi Shimon Lakish says that one is not liable to a chatos unless he acted b'shoigeg inadvertently with regard to the prohibition and with regard to the Koros penalty. The Yodel or Shabbos b'mai. In what respect did he know did he know about the Shabbos? He was knowledgeable about the Shabbos with regard to the Tchum laws, knowing the boundaries of Shabbos. And this is according to the Kiva, who holds they are biblical.
That they go back to this. This is a few times they went back to this, the Chum business.
Right. Person's knowledge that the day was Saturday is considered meaningful. He acted inadvertently only regarding the melachos and is liable to separate chatos for each. So he knows the Shabbos, and he didn't know the melachos are forbidden. So he would be liable to a separate chatos for each and every melacha. New Mishnah 73a3. The Mishnah enumerates the broad categories of labor prohibited on the Shabbos. Avis melachos arbaim choser achas. The primary labors, the avis melachos, are 40 minus 1. The Mishnah first enumerates 11 labors necessary for baking bread. You have to do 11 things in order to bake bread. Obviously, we don't do it because we don't harvest the berries personally, and we don't even do all the work that is necessary for the berries to be prepared and then grind them into flour. So we start from flour. So we're skipping a lot of the melachos that are done before.
Right.
So avis melachos arbaim choser achas, the primary labors, the avis melachos are 40 minus 1. The Mishnah first enumerates 11 labors necessary for baking bread. Hazireah, you want to get wheat, you have to sow. You do planting, sowing. Right, you have to plant seeds to create or to provide the raw material, the production of dyes. Okay. Sowing. V'achorish, then once it grows, plowing. I don't know.
I would always plow before I sowed, but that's me.
It says the purpose of plowing is soften the earth,
Right.
or to otherwise improve its arability. Therefore, any type of work performed directly upon the earth and designated to achieve these results is equivalent to plowing.
I would always break the ground up before I put in the seeds, but that's me.
No, right, you're right. But it could be also, a lot of times, you plant in a specific place, and you go and you do plowing around the area to allow it to air out, and the water to penetrate easier. There's many reasons why it would be done. Anyhow, so this part of the melachos, it doesn't necessarily have to be the order, but it's something you got to do in order to make bread. Koitzer, reaping, ve'ame'amer, gathering together, ve'adosh, and then threshing, ve'azore, and then winnowing. You throw it out, you throw it up in the air to get rid of the chaff, and then you get just the seed, haber, and selecting what is good, what is not good, teichen, and grinding, meraket, and sifting, kneading, and then alosh, and then baif, and then baking. So we got 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Agoris atzemer, shearing wool, that's already 13 labors involved in the preparation of clothing. So 11 in preparation of bread, and 13 in the preparation of clothing. Hagoy zatzemer shearing wool, amelabnoi, whitening it, amenapzoi, disentangling it, vatzovoi, and I guess the dyeing process, vatoive, spinning process, vamesech, mounting the warp. Today you have videos, you can see how clothing is being made from the point of shearing the sheep until it's not being done. Setting two heddles, I guess that's the machinery that was used for the mounting the warp and the spinning process. Weaving two threads, removing two threads, tying a knot, untying a knot, sewing two stitches, tearing in order to sew two stitches. That all has to do with making clothes. The Mishnah now mentioned labor is required for the preparation of hides, of skin, animal skin, and two labors involving riding. You gotta trap the deer, number one. Then ashechta, you have to slaughter it. Mafshita, skinning it. Amolchoy, salting it. Tanning its hide. Smoothing it. Cutting it. Writing two letters. And erasing in order to write two letters. And then we have final 6 laborers. That has to do with construction. Haboine, building, v'asoiser, demolishing, amechabe, extinguishing, v'amavir, and kindling, amakiba patish, striking the final blow, and taking out from one domain to another domain. These are the primary labors, 40 minus 1. So if you break it to categories, we have category number 1 is baking bread, category number 2 is clothing, category number 3 is construction, and also writing. We put writing in construction.
Wait a minute. We got the baking, the clothing, and then we got
the hides,
and then the construction.
The hides, and over there within the hides he puts writing.
Right.
And after that you have the construction.
Right.
So going to the Gemara on page 73, V1. Minyan Olamali. Why do I need the time to specify the number of melachos? Why do I need to know that it's 39? That's the answer that we saw before, that if he does all of them in one lapse of awareness, he would be liable to a chatos for every single one of them. The Gemara says sowing, plowing. Mikdi. Let us see. Micherav krovei bereisha. One generally plows first to soften the ground. Only then does he sow. There you go. So let the Tana first teach the malacha of plowing, and then to teach the malacha of sowing, because you have to first prepare the ground before you sow. So it says Tana Beretz Yisrael koi. It says that in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel, where they sow first and then they plow. Why? It says in number 4, the ground is so hard in Eretz Yisrael that the seeds will not be covered by earth when they are sown in a plowed field. Get it? The ground is so hard that the seeds will not be covered by earth when they are sown in a plowed field. Therefore, the land must be plowed a second time after sowing to cover the seeds. this second plowing is also included in the malacha of plowing. Second plowing renders the individual liable for sowing as well, since it promotes the growth of the seeds. So this, what about the Gemara discusses or elaborates on the melacha of sowing. Tana taught by sowing seeds, pruning trees or vines, planting saplings, propagating vines, and grafting a branch. Propagating vines is to take one branch and to bury it in the ground. Yeah, so another. Anyhow, kulo melocha achas hein. The Gemara wants to say that all these melochas of sowing, pruning, planting, propagating vines, and grafting, it's all under the category of one primary labor. It's all under Azirah. My kamashmon, and what is the Tana teaching us? How kamashmon ha'isim melochas avim melocha achas? It teaches us that one who performs many labors, similar to one particular primary labor, and he is obligated to bring only one chatas. One who prunes a tree or vine is liable on account of the malacha of planting. And one who plants a sapling, propagates a vine, or grafts a branch, is liable on account of the malacha of sowing. Mishum zirah ein, do you mean to say that one who propagates a vine and grafts a branch is indeed liable on account of sowing? Mishum notia lo, but on account of planting, what about on account of planting? He's not liable. Since these acts are performed on trees, they should be included in the category of planting. Emaf mishum zirah, say rather that one who performs these labors is liable also on account of sowing. If one prunes a vine and he also needs the wood for fuel, so he does two things. Number one, he promotes the growth of the tree by pruning, and number two is using these branches for fuel. Chayav Shtaim is obligated to bring two chatos offerings. One on account of reaping, and one on account of planting, because he promotes the growth.
But he's not getting the wood now.
On Shabbos, somebody goes on Shabbos, prunes the vine, and he takes the branches and he puts them in the fire, in his fireplace.
So the excess branches, besides the ones that he prunes, he takes them and makes.
What does pruning mean? You have a branch, you cut off part of it.
And then put it together with another branch.
No, that's grafting. That's something else.
That's grafting.
Pruning is just giving a tree a haircut.
Off. Oh, yeah, all right.
Bless you. You're giving the tree a haircut, and why are you doing it? To promote growth.
Exactly. Okay, I got that.
So he's doing two things. He's promoting growth, and he's taking the branches, is going to use them for fire. So he's liable to two. That's what the Gemara says. Someone who cuts beets, chayav shtaim, is able to bring two chatzos. Why? On account of reaping, on account of planting. Why? It says, why is beets is also zerah? Says it 19. While they're still attached to the ground, beets also grow back after they've been cut. So take them out, they'll still grow back. So it's like he planted at the same time that he harvested. Therefore, we'll be liable to v'achoresh, plowing, tana achoresh v'achofer v'achoretz. Plowing the earth, digging a hole, and making a furrow, kulam melacha achasein, are all in the category of one primary labor. If someone had a small mound and took it away, pile, I guess, of soil, and he took it away, it depends. If the pile was in the house, he's liable on account of building. And if it was in the field, he's liable on account of plowing. Now, if one had a hole and filled it with dirt in the house, in the house he is liable on account of building, in the field he is liable on account of plowing. One who digs a hole in the floor of his house on the Shabbos, but requires only its earth. He doesn't need the hole, he needs the earth. Potur oleo is exempt from liability for the act. Afil Rabbi Yehuda, and this ruling is acceptable even to Rav Yehuda. Who said that one who performs a forbidden labor, not needed for its defined purpose, is nevertheless liable for it. Again, labor not needed for its defined purpose is nevertheless liable for it. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. For that ruling was stated only when the person rectifies something. I'm a kalkilu, but in this case he is ruining something, he's not fixing anything. Rabbi Yehuda holds that the digger is exempt. This is because the person did not perform the melacha of building at all, since his efforts actually damaged the house. He made a hole in the house. So it's different than a case of a labor not needed for its defined purpose, where the act of labor is constructive. So when did he say that you're liable, even if you did melacha that is not needed for its own purpose, is when you did something constructive. But if you did something that is destructive, you are potur. The Gemara elaborates on reaping. Reaping grain, cutting grapes, harvesting dates, collecting olives, and gathering figs, kulon melocha achas, are all in the category of one primary labor. Another example of reaping. One who threw a clod of earth at a palm tree, and served some dates. Chayov Shtaim is obligated to bring 2 chatas offering. Al mishum teilish, one on account of detaching, v'al mishum afork, and one on account of extracting. This is not the normal manner of detaching. Threw a clod of earth on a palm tree and it caused the dates to fall down.
The stuff down. Okay,
yeah.
I got it. All right.
So he said he's liable to bring 2, one on account of detaching, one for an account of extracting.
This is Shinoi, Rav Ashi says.
This is not the normal manner of detaching, and it's not the normal manner of extracting. The person is therefore exempt from bringing the chatas. But Rav Papa disagrees. Rav Papa says he's liable for 2. Okay. Gathering together. Someone who gathers salt from the salt ditches is liable on account of gathering together. Abai said, the malacha of gathering together applies only to items that grow from the ground. V'adosh, threshing. Tano, adosh from menapet, threshing grain, beating flax, and striking cotton with a bow. Kula melacha achasen are all in the category of one primary labor. Azer, abera, techam, raked, winnowing, selecting, grinding, sifting. Ainu zer, ainu ber, ainu miraked. Winnowing, selecting, and sifting are all the same activity. Why does the Tana establish these three as a separate melachos? Kol miltu dava mishkan. Anything that was done in the construction of the Mishkan. Even though there is another act that is similar to it, the Mishnah reckons it as a separate primary laborer. Therefore, since winnowing, selecting, and sifting are discrete actions performed at different times during the processing of grain, the Mishnah counts them as a three separate melachos. One who performs all three is liable to 3 chatas offering. These acts are thus not analogous to sowing and planting, which are essentially the same action but performed to different items. Buchim Tiu, we shall continue, God willing, tomorrow.